What's poppin', internet? Welcome to another episode of the Synced Up Filmcast, a show where we reel you into Nolan movies and talk about other things that we've been watching, whether those are movies or shows or whatever. I'm one of your hosts, Timothy DeRoe, and joining me is Jordan, actually, from Behind the Sticks. I don't have Mike today. He's at a tournament, busy doing Pokemon things. They had a long one, so they're still out there playing that Pokemon tournament. We didn't want it to go too late, so it's just me sitting here with Jordan on the sticks. The Uno reverse of yesterday.
Sorry. The buttons never want to work with me here, but we're good. What's up?
Cool. Yeah, so this is interesting. My train of thought just completely left the station.
Just derailed right there.
We're gonna be watching. We already watched. We're gonna be ranking and reviewing the Nolan movies, Insomnia and The Prestige. Mike sent me his rankings in, so we can line those up correctly. And then we will be. He's not here for me to ask. I'll have to ask him at the end of the show if we're gonna pay money to go watch this new Harry Potter in theaters and rank it next week, or if we're going to wait for it to come to HBO Max before we stop the Nolan rankings and rank that bad boy, because it's not getting very good reviews. But before we get into that, a little bit of housekeeping for you. If you enjoy the show, you should consider supporting us on Patreon at patreon.com/syncedup, where for $1 you can get access to the lovely Discord where we talk about a lot of things. Jordan and Spencer talking about maybe playing through some Dragon Age on Game Pass. I'm talking a lot about Weird West. I'll talk about that next week as well. Other things going on there, sports, things of those nature.
It's always impressive to see there's a steady stream of sports going on.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good middle.
Soccer and shit. You know how it goes, Fortnite. Or for $5, you can get access to post shows of both the shows that we do and many more goodies, all from youtube.com/synceduppodcast and podcasting services around the globe. New episodes of this show specifically go up in all those feeds Tuesdays, 7 a.m. Central Time Zone gang. You can also write into the show to synceduppod@gmail.com or the read mail submissions tab of the Discord with any questions, comments, concerns, or games, and we will read those on the show. It's empty again. Please write in. You should also consider dropping a follow on Twitter at synceduppod to keep up to date with all of our content from across the big old board. A piece of that board is TikTok. Go over to TikTok at synceduppod on TikTok. Give us a follow, a comment, a like, a favorite, anything you can do to up that algorithm. We'd greatly appreciate it. We almost got 3 videos to 1,000, which is very fun. One of them's almost to 2,000, which is even funner, more fun. You know how it goes.
Funner.
Anyway, let's just get raw into it. You didn't watch either of these movies, do you?
I didn't watch Insomnia, but I've seen The Prestige.
Okay, so let me just go in on Insomnia. Bore myself real quick. Insomnia film. Let's get the plot synopsis. The plot synopsis.
What a weird word.
Yeah, very weird word.
Synopsis.
Moved off at HBO Max after Insomnia, by the way. The Prestige only available to rent on certain places.
That's tragic.
Not streaming, which sucked. It cost me $2, $3, $2.99. Sorry for my nasaliness as well. I'm coming off the sickness. Coming up with the sickness, you know how it goes. In the small fishing town of Nightmute, Alaska, 17-year-old Kay Connell is found murdered. LAPD detectives Will Dormer and Hap Heckert are sent to assist the local police with their investigation. They do so at the request of the Chief Nyback, an old colleague of Dormer. Ellie Burr, a young local detective who is also a fan of Dormer's, picks them up. Back in LA, Internal Affairs is investigating one of Dormer's past cases. Eckert reveals on the way to Alaska he's going to testify against Dormer in exchange for immunity. Dormer responds by noting that many criminals whom he'd helped to convict using questionable evidence could go free if their cases are reopened. Dormer cleverly attracts the murderer to the scene of the crime using some techniques, but the suspect flees into the fog, shooting one of the police officers through the leg. Dormer spots the figure in the fog, shoots him, bam! Rushing to the fallen figure, it turns out he picks up a .38 pistol the suspect dropped. He then discovers that he has shot and killed his buddy Eckert from LAPD. Because of Eckert's pending testimony, Dormer knows that Internal Affairs will never believe the shooting was an accident, so he claims Eckert was shot by the suspect. He does not mention that he has the .38 pistol. Burr is put in charge of the shooting investigation, and her team finds a .38 caliber bullet that hit the officer. That night, Dormer walks into an alley, fires the .38 pistol into an animal carcass, then retrieves and cleans the bullet, and at the morgue, the pathologist hands him the bagged bullet retrieved from Eckert's body, but she's unfamiliar with its type. Dormer swaps them around. That way they don't realize that it's from 2 different guns. Over the next few days, Dormer is plagued by insomnia, brought on by his guilt over killing his homie, and exacerbated by the perpetual daylight in Alaska. Dormer starts receiving anonymous phone calls from the killer, who claims to have witnessed Dormer kill his partner. When the police learn that Kay was a fan of local crime writer Walter Finch, Dormer breaks into Finch's apartment in the nearby village of Unkumyit. Finch arrives at home, realizes the police are present, and evades Dormer after a chase. Dormer returns to Finch's apartment and plants the .38 to frame Finch. Finch contacts Dormer and arranges a meeting on a ferry. Finch wants help in shifting suspicion to Kay's abusive boyfriend, Randy Sketz, and in return will stay silent about the Eckert shooting. Dormer gives advice on handling police questioning. After Finch leaves Dormer on the ferry, he shows the detectives a tape recorder he used to record the conversation. Finch calls Dormer and tells him that Kay's death was an accident. He beat her to death in a fit of rage after she laughed at his sexual advances. The next day, Finch gives false testimony at the police station. When Finch claims Randy has a gun, Dormer realizes Finch has discovered his plant gun and has hidden it at Randy's home. Randy is arrested when the gun is found at his house. Finch asks Burr to come to his lake house the next day to collect letters indicating that Randy abused Kay. Burr returns to the scene of Eckert's death and finds a 9mm shell casing, which conflicts with the bullet type from Eckert's body. She reads her own case study from an investigation Dormer has involved in and learns he has carried a 9mm, leading her to suspect that he shot Eckert. Meanwhile, on his last night staying in the hotel, Dormer confides in the hotel owner about the internals affair investigation. He fabricated evidence to help convict a pedophile he was certain was guilty of murdering a child and who would have walked if Eckert had testified. Dormer learns that Burr has gone to Finch's. He finds Kay's letter in Finch's apartment and realizes that Finch intends to kill Burr. He learns of Finch's lake house and rushes there. At the house, Finch knocks Burr unconscious. Takes Burr's gun. Dormer, too disoriented from lack of sleep to fight off Finch. Dormer is too disoriented from lack of sleep to fight off Finch. Burr revives and saves Dormer while Finch escapes. Burr reveals she knows Dormer shot Eckert, and he admits that he is no longer certain if it was an accident. From his shed, Finch shoots at them with a shotgun. It's kind of far away, didn't make any sense. And Burr returns fire with Dormer's gun while Dormer sneaks around to Finch's location. After a scuffle in which Dormer grabs Finch's shotgun, Finch shoots Dormer with Burr's gun, and Dormer shoots and kills Finch with the shotgun. Burr rushes to the fatally wounded Dormer and confronts him by affirming that Eckert's shooting was an accident and then moves to throw away the 9mm shell casing to preserve Dormer's reputation. Dormer stops her, however, telling her not to lose her way as he had. Dormer says his last words, which are "just let me sleep," and dies just as Burr puts the bullet back in the evidence bag. Anyway, that's the film. Insomnia. Can you go ahead and bring up that ranking? Yeah. Insomnia, pretty good. Of course, Al Pacino playing the detective, and Robin Williams playing the murderer, who is they're playing an interesting game of cat and mouse, as the murderer knows that the cop is actually a murderer, and the cop knows that the murderer is actually a murderer, and they're playing a little game there. You get a lot of interesting back and forth there. There's a particular scene that I think is great, in which it is just two scenes in which it's very great, just seeing Robin Williams and Al Pacino act on screen and just being like, dude, these guys are so fucking good. Legends. At acting, and seeing them act together on screen is so good. You get a lot of interesting scenes, some cool things just with Al Pacino, just with some of these other characters. You don't get any solo scenes with Robin Williams, but the back and forth scenes you get when Robin Williams, not on the phone but in person with Al Pacino, those scenes are so good. For example, in the fair on the ferry, when they're arguing, when he's like talking to him, he's telling him about wild cards. There's all these like little things. I need you to do this. I need you to do that. You wouldn't be here. You know, Robin Williams' character like asserts his power over Al Pacino's character, and you can also see Al Pacino kind of submitting to the power, but also doing so in a way that's like, oh, I'm only really submitting to the power because I'm trying to play my own game here. And then later on, when they're doing an interrogation, and you realize that Robin Williams' character has found out that Dormer planted the thing, and they're in the interrogation room, and Robin Williams' character is like getting dangerously close to admitting stuff to the other cops in the room just to let Al Pacino's character know, I'm not an idiot and I know what you've done. That little scene there is like, oh shit, we getting like a little spice here, and the delivery is so good by Robin Williams, and the response by Al Pacino as well is just so good. Go ahead and bring up the ranking. Bring them up.
I do remember it's very, and I only remember this because my parents, or my mom specifically, is a big Robin Williams fan.
Yeah.
He actually plays the bad quote unquote guy in this movie, which is such a like off the wall thing for Robin Williams, because he's always doing such lovey, happy roles. It's great.
Yeah. Well, this is interesting. So Mike ranks Insomnia at number 2.
Oh.
But I definitely would rank it at number 1. Which is difficult with Mike not here.
This is true.
So let's look up the scores.
You can do Rotten Tomatoes. I just looked it up. I think it's like a 92 on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, we'll look up the Insomnia movie. We'll look at the 3 scores. 7.2 IMDb, 92 on Rotten Tomatoes, and that's critic, and 77 audience. And then let's look up Memento. movie. Wins on IMDb, less on the critic, but more on the audience. So we'll go ahead and say Memento is better. We'll put Insomnia at number 2. They're all good movies. I just liked the interaction between Al Pacino and Robin Williams in this movie so much that it pushed it over Memento. Plus, it's told in a linear fashion. It is not like a typical Nolan thing where it's like, I don't know what the fuck's going on until the end. You kind of know what's going on, and you're kind of just going from there, trying to figure out, what's the play here? Oh, who's the murderer? Oh, we found out who the murderer is. Actually, the murder mystery, that isn't the thing. The thing is, what will Al Pacino's character do with the fact that he killed the guy, type of thing. Which is it's very interesting and makes for a very, very good film in my opinion. All these films, very, very good. Now, let's move on to the second film this week because we missed last week. That's going to be The Prestige. Going in, The Prestige only a 76 on Rotten Tomatoes, by the way, which just blows my fucking mind. But we're going to go in here on the plot synopsis, which is going to be it's shorter than the last one, but it's probably going to be a little bit more confusing. And after that, I will give my thoughts on The Prestige. In 1980s London, Robert Angier and Alfred Borden work as shills for a magician under the mentorship of John Cutter, an engineer who designs stage magic. During a water tank trick, Angier's wife Julia fails to escape and drowns. Angier, devastated, blames Borden for using a riskier knot, causing her death. When Angier asks Borden which knot he used, Borden claims not to know. The two become bitter enemies and rivals. Angier and Borden launch their own magic careers, with Angier working with Cutter and Borden with the mysterious Fallon. Angier sabotages one of Borden's performances when he slips a real bullet into Borden's pistol during a bullet catch trick. See, we're only like a few paragraphs in and we're like an hour and a half in the movie. Resulting in Borden losing 2 of his fingers. Borden reciprocates by sabotaging Angier's disappearing bird act, killing the bird on stage and injuring a volunteer from the audience. Borden develops a trick he calls the Transported Man, in which he appears to travel instantly between 2 wardrobes on opposite ends of the stage. Unable to discern Borden's method, Angier hires a double, Gerald Root, to perform his own version of the trick. The imitation is a greater success, but Angier is dissatisfied as he ends the trick hidden under the stage while Root basks in the applause. Root threatens to blackmail Angier and Cutter after being approached by Borden, because he realizes Angier can't do this trick without me. Angier has his assistant, Olivia, which is Scarlett Johansson, by the way, fun fact, spy on Borden to learn how he performs the Transported Man. However, Olivia falls in love with Borden and becomes his assistant. With her help, Borden sabotages Angier's act, crippling him in the process. Confronted by Angier, Olivia gives him a copy of Borden's encoded diary. Olivia begins to see that Angier's obsession over his competition with Borden has caused him to be more selfish and forget about his wife. Angier acquires the keyword to decode it, Tesla, by threatening to kill Fallon by burying him alive. The diary takes Angier to America to meet scientist Nikola Tesla, who Angier believes built a machine for Borden. Tesla becomes suspicious towards Angier as he knows that he is obsessed with the machine, but agrees to create the machine for him. Angier realizes the diary is fraudulent, created as a distraction. Tesla builds the machine for him, but instead of teleporting objects, Tesla's machine duplicates anything placed inside it a short distance away. Tesla is driven from Colorado Springs by agents of his rival, Thomas Edison, but has the machine delivered to Angier. He advises Angier to destroy it, saying it will bring him only misery. Borden's wife, Sarah, is driven to suicide by his contradictory personality. Borden reveals to Olivia that he never loved Sarah and that he loves her more. Tired of Borden and Angier's feud, Olivia leaves. In London, Angier debuts the real Transported Man using Tesla's machine, appearing to have teleported across the theater. Borden sneaks backstage and witnesses Angier fall through a trapdoor and drown in a tank. He is discovered by Cutter and turned over to the police. Unable to prove his innocence, Borden is found guilty of murder and sentenced to death. Tesla's machine is sold off to the wealthy Lord Caldlow, who is revealed to be the true identity of a seemingly still alive Angier. Angier visits Borden in prison, accompanied by Borden's daughter, Jess. In exchange for his tricks, Borden asks Angier to let his daughter go, but Angier leaves with Jess. When Cutter realizes that Angier is still alive, he is disgusted that Angier allowed Borden to be sentenced to death, but agrees to help dispose of Tesla's machine. Borden is hanged for Angier's murder. Angier goes back to the theater. A stranger enters and shoots Angier, revealing himself as Alfred Borden. Angier discovers Borden was an identity shared by a pair of identical twins. The brothers performed the original Transported Man together. When one was Borden, the other was disguised as Fallon. Alfred loves Sarah, while his dead brother Freddie had loved Olivia. Oh, they revealed his name was Freddie? I don't think they do that in the movie. Freddie had loved Olivia. While Angier uses Tesla's machine, every performance creates a new Angier, while the original drowns in a tank beneath the stage. Angier dies and drops his lantern, setting the theater alight. Borden leaves and picks up Jess at Cutter's workshop. In the burning theater, rows of tanks hold dead Angiers. So this plot synopsis is written in a weird way because it obviously doesn't follow the nature of the movie, because the movie is told out of sequence. Of course, the police scene is the beginning scene, like Angier dying in the tank, and then going into the court scene. That is all in the very, very beginning of the film. And you're told it's kind of linear after that point, with some discernible points in the middle where they're reading each other's diary, and you realize that one reading the other's diary and the other reading the other's diary is actually in the future. But then that switch happens at a point in the movie, and then it's all chronological after that point. But this movie is so fucking good, dude. Like, everything about this movie, from the nature of the fact, like, you know, it's what Nolan does. He creates films that embody what they're meant to embody. They're there to you know, it's called The Prestige. You know, they talk about the pledge, the turn, and the prestige. And the movie is structured in such a way that it does the same exact thing that the title is meant to be conveying, in the same way that Tenet does. That Tenet embodies Tenet, right? You know what I mean? Like it really just embodies that name and goes super, super hard with it. Of course, Hugh Jackman killed it in this movie, and Christian Bale, thank you. I always miss on his name. Christian Bale also so good in this film, acting as both Fallon and Christian Bale. And I think, as someone who knew that the twist was coming, it became easier to see that Fallon was actually also Alfred Borden. But if you don't know that, you look past that so quickly, and you just see Fallon as this character that is supposedly helping Alfred. He's a side character. He's not important, and it fools pretty much everyone. Adriana was fooled. I was fooled when I first watched it, but just seeing everything up until that point is just so good, and getting like the reveal, and then the reveal, and then the actual reveal, but then the actual reveal is just so good, where you're like, oh shit, dude, like, so good, because you realize, like, oh, you know, if you weren't paying close attention, of course
you're gonna miss these things.
Yeah, of course, homie is copying himself and killing his previous self. Of course, Lord Caldlow is him. I wasn't paying enough attention. I was so focused on the fact that it looked like he just disappeared. I thought he perfected the machine to teleport him across the way. I forgot that it only copies people, right? And you forget those things. The same with Borden. You start to forget, like, whatever. I don't know how he did the trick. He used a body. I don't know what it is. What did he do? And you start to put that in the back of your mind because of the new things that are introduced to you as the film goes on. And that keeps you really from figuring everything out as you're watching, which makes this film so good. And then, the turn in the end and the reveal, the way they somehow convey to you which twin was which, and them having their own kind of lives and them feeling different throughout the film, especially in retrospect and watching it a second time. It's like, oh, these guys are different. And in the seed is laid there for you. You can think, oh, this guy is just obsessed with magic, when his wife keeps saying things like, oh, you know, you don't mean it today. You don't love me today. You know, you only love me some days. And you don't mean, like, you know, you mean it today. So I you know, it makes the times you don't mean it so much worse, and shit like that. And then you realize that she finds out and kills herself before she could tell Olivia. But then you realize, oh, he does love Olivia, but you hate him at first because you're like, oh, he's cheating on his nice wife, and he has a kid, and he's cheating on his wife with Scarlett Johansson. And it's like, damn, like, this guy's such a prick. But then, you know, by the end of the movie, you're like, oh, he wasn't. Like, he never was, but he was. But that was the whole point, you know, which they established earlier in the film when they're talking about the Chinese man that does the reveal the fishbowl trick, right? And Borden spies it immediately, whereas Angier doesn't, where he's like, that's the trick. He's pretending to be a cripple, and he does it for his whole life. That's the trick. That's what takes sacrifice, and dedication is what makes a good trick. And that's what he did his whole life. He pretended to be, you know, they pretended to be each other. They swapped off with each other. They did these different things, and they tried their best to uphold the life where you know, Freddie, I guess is his name, tried his best to uphold the lie to Sarah, his wife, the other guy's wife, that he was the same guy, all for the trick, right? All for the love of the trick. Chopping his fingers off after his fingers got shot off. Just be like, oh, he got to chop his fingers off in order to be able to keep that lie up, right? They can't be different. And it's like, oh damn, like, the dedication to the trick. It's just so good. And of course, Christian Bale just sells it so good. And Mike ranked it at number 1, and I, of course, am going to rank it at number 1 as well. I think that there's no real debate there. It's just so good. It's a good ass movie.
It is a good movie. I remembered this movie mainly because of Hugh Jackman, but also because one of the side characters, I think her name is Julia in the movie.
Yeah.
Is it Milton's wife? Milton? Is that a guy? I feel like that's that name. Let me look it up real quick. Either way, I remember this movie specifically because the woman who plays her also plays in Coyote Ugly.
Okay,
so
yeah.
that movie sticks in my head.
Yeah, no, the one who dies in the beginning?
Yes.
Yeah, that's Angier's wife. Because she asked Borden to tie the more difficult knot, and that's what Angier doesn't know.
As Julia, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
And I really think like Nolan takes that misdirection from this movie and realizes how well it works, and he just does it over and over and over again in like the movies that come after. But like every time it feels like he's getting you with something new.
Yeah.
Like even all the way down to Tenet, you're like, dude, what? Like I thought that I would have known this, but you just miss it. But like it makes you feel like you shouldn't have missed what you missed.
Exactly. Yeah.
And he just does it so well.
So let's get in here. Where's the list? Christopher Nolan filmography in order.
Also, what a star-studded cast, man. Hugh Jackman, Christian Bale, Michael Caine, ScarJo. Do I know this woman? What is she in? I don't know this woman. Rebecca Hall. Respect. Andy Serkis. Come on, bro. David Bowie.
So now it's time for the Batman movies.
Yes.
I kind of want to just tell Mike we should wait because I kind of don't want to pay money to go watch the Harry Potter movie considering its reviews are so bad. Worse than the last one.
Yeah, just go straight into the Batman.
Sucks. Yeah, so we'd have Batman Begins and then The Dark Knight and then Inception and then The Dark Knight Rises.
It's super crazy to me that he dropped such a blockbuster film in the middle of a series.
Yeah.
Like he was doing a continuous thing. Was like, let me just drop an Inception real quick and get back to it. So
2 Batman movies next. Inception, another Batman movie. And then we'll go in on Interstellar. And then Dunkirk. And then Tenet. And then Oppenheimer. Well, he has this movie. Is this like a short film? Oh yeah, we don't gotta worry about that one. Okay. I'm just trying to look at some of these things because we're only doing ones that he's directed. So yeah, Batman Begins, Dark Knight, Inception, Dark Knight Rises, Interstellar, Dunkirk, Tenet. Get stoked. Get excited.
It's all gas from here out.
Anyway, only bit of news for you is I kind of wanted to look at the Sonic movie reviews.
Obviously this is to be taken with a grain of salt. I work with a bunch of children. But a lot of the kids who took off to go see it opening weekend have said that it's very, very good.
Yeah.
Like I said, take that with a grain of salt. But
67 critic, 97 audience. That's pretty good. 7.1 on IMDb and 7 out of 10 from IGN. I don't know why it has IGN. That's such a high level thing. But
I've heard that
97 audience is pretty good.
I've heard that this is Jim Carrey's last movie. Like he's done after this.
Yeah, I heard he's retiring.
What a strange movie to go out on.
Yeah.
Like it feels like it's on brand, but it feels like it's not at the same time.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just excited to see some Tails, see some Knuckles.
Knuckles looks good.
You better give me a Shadow Hedgehog reveal at the end.
Maybe if that's only if they're going to continue to keep making these, which I guess if it's doing 97%.
Well, they've already confirmed 2 more movies after this.
So then we'll probably
Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and a Tails spinoff.
So we'll probably get a Chaos Emerald somewhere in there.
Yeah, the green Chaos Emerald has been featured in the trailer a little bit.
Yeah, so they'll definitely get some Shadow in there.
Get a little Shadow the Hedgehog. So get excited. There you go, Sonic movie reviews. Anyway, what's coming soon? The Secrets of Dumbledore drops on Friday, which we're just gonna wait to come to HBO Max. And then Father Stew comes out on Wednesday, which is the new why can't I remember his name right now? Mark Wahlberg film that apparently is very bad, but it drops Wednesday. So get excited for that. No new trailers really this week, and reader mail is kind of lax, but there is some stuff in what you've been watching section. You watch anything, Jordan?
I've actually been watching a lot of stuff.
What you been watching?
So I'm still watching Peaky Blinders, still absolute banger. I just started Moon Knight myself.
Yep.
Good.
She's good.
Yeah, first 2 minutes, and I was like, "What? I'm hooked. Like, what is going on?"
You watched both eps?
I've watched 1 ep so far.
Okay. Second ep's pretty good.
I'm excited for it. I don't know why I started a Hobbit watch through.
That's so weird.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It was midnight. I was laying in bed. I was like, man, let me just put something on the background. I forgot how quickly those movies pull you in.
Yeah.
They get you. Very good. I watched. What did I watch? I watched a nature documentary. Another one.
Mm-hmm. Those are good, man.
It was. I was almost in tears. Not because of anything like brutal happening, but I was just like, bro, like
life's beautiful, bro.
Yeah, this shit's gorgeous. Like, why is this a thing?
Life's beautiful, bro.
And then, that's really about it. I'm excited to watch Batman on the 18th.
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna be nice.
Yep.
That's it for me.
Hell yeah! I've watched the Cole Sprouse and Lana Condor film on HBO Max called Moonshot. It's very good. It's very, very good. It's a sci-fi romance. So blend some good things I all like. A little rom-com action. Can't get enough Lana Condor, bro. She's so good. I'm a huge fan.
I wonder if she's ever gonna branch out into a new style of music.
I hope not, man, because she does this so well.
But I mean, I guess it's okay to be a one-trick pony when you're really good at that trick.
No, she's good at that trick, man.
But like, you got to do something new. Like
she's Lana Condor, man.
Like,
she's just so cute and adorable.
When it comes to the rom-com, like, you got it, girl. But like, what else you got, bro? Come on.
She's just so cute and adorable. Little squeeze her little cheeks, and then of course Cole Sprouse getting more into the game recently. I feel like
he's a legend,
branching out, doing stuff, and he was good in this. Will I say this is a spectacular show of acting? No. Will I say this is a 10 out of 10 movie? Absolutely not. But it was a fun ride, and I enjoyed it the whole way. And I would recommend people to watch it, man. Just sit down with your SO, watch that bad boy. Watch it by yourself. It's a good movie, dude. I liked it. It was very fun. It's all about this dude's obsession with going to Mars. It's in the future where going to Mars is like a normal thing that happens every year, and people can pay for tickets, or you can like apply to be for like a job on Mars, and there's a government on Mars and stuff. And this college kid is obsessed with going to Mars, and then he meets a girl one night. She goes to Mars. He then becomes even more obsessed with going to Mars so he can be with her. Then he meets this other girl, Lana Condor. She's going to Mars because she's rich, but she's afraid of flying. He convinces her to go. She goes, and then he uses her to sneak onto the ship, and then they fall in love while he's snuck on the ship on the way there. And she realizes her boyfriend sucks, which he does, and that, Cole Sprouse is the shit. It's a rom-com.
No one's going to be like, bro, spoilers.
Yeah. Super good. So good, dude. I liked it. Anyway, I also watched Memories of Murder, 2003 Bong Joon-ho film. If you're familiar with Bong Joon-ho, that's, of course, Snowpiercer, Parasite, The Boy. He makes good-ass films over there. You should go watch some of them Korean films. They're very nice. They're very good. And this one was a 2003 movie that he made back in the day about Korea's very first documented serial killer murders, which is, I was going to say fun, but it's not fun. But the movie was good, dude. About 2 hours long. It's on Hulu. It's pretty spectacular. It doesn't really follow the normal kind of things that you would see with those type of films, with those type of murder mystery films. You don't really get the answers that you're looking for. And it just really, it hits. Like the cinematography, the storytelling, the characters. Of course, Bong Joon-ho is a master class in directing and filmmaking. He's up there with some of the greats. I would lump him up there with Christopher Nolan and the gang. He's so good. And this movie, of course, just reinforces that fact. So if you have a chance, you should go and watch it. It's based on a true story. And then they actually found out who murdered those people 2 years ago.
Nice. So,
which is nice. They used DNA technology. And I was like, oh, they actually got a guy. And then he confessed to all the murders. There's 11 of them. Weird. It's good stuff, though. Good-ass movie. Lots of like trying to figure out what the fuck's going on. Lots of, cops that are stupid and cops that are smart. I really liked it. And then, of course, watching more Moon Knight. The second episode, a lot better than the first episode. There wasn't as much stupid, very bad CGI like there was in the first episode. Which, did you notice that?
Yeah, like
in the car chase scene, bro?
Yes.
It's so bad.
Some of those, I'm like, especially coming from, like, Marvel, you're like I understand that, like, this is your TV show. It's probably not as big budget. But still, like, come on, bro. Like,
no, it's bad, dude. Like, when the car passes him, just stops in front, I was like, what?
And then, like it has that little, like, blur effect, and you're like, why? Like,
I was like, Shark Boy and Lava Girl?
Yeah, it doesn't look real at all.
Yeah, it was really bad. Anyway, that's it for the stuff I've been watching. The Reader Mail, not a lot going on there. It's a shorter show this week. I'm here by myself, but I still managed to crank on about stupid shit for 30 minutes. And Jordan tuned in a little bit as well.
We're vibing.
That's it. That's all stuff, man. Watch Batman Begins. That's what we're going to watch. So, what's that on? HBO? It's probably on HBO Max. Everything else on HBO Max except The Prestige, which is weird.
It's just too good.
But the Batman Begins, we'll see where the Batman Begins ends up ranking. It's not going to be as high as the Dark Knight, but You know how it goes. Anyway, that's it. Well, if you support us on Patreon at the $5 tier, patreon.com/synceduppodcast or synceduppod. Let me just check this. Oh, it's just synced up. Patreon.com/syncedup. You know, that's hilarious. Whatever. If you support us there at the $5 tier, you get access to the post show that we're about to do. If you don't do that, well, we'll see you guys next week. And if you do that, we'll see you in a few minutes. Goodbye.
Peace.